Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed your lunch. It sounds like there was some great interaction and conversation at the tables. I'm John Kupla. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Professional and Executive Development, and it's a pleasure to be here today to introduce our next keynote speaker. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the center. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to visit our table in the back. But let me just take a few minutes and tell you just a few things about what the center does, as well as the Fluno Center, which I'm representing, and the Family Business Center. We offer several courses and certificates at the center, and we actually offer over 35 courses with 100 sessions annually at the Fluno Center. The Fluno Center, which is just a couple blocks from here, hopefully some of you have experienced the Fluno Center food and hospitality. It's a 120,000 square foot facility with really a full immersion executive education experience. We offer conference services, lodging, and other services. Keep in mind, as representing different corporations, we host quite a few retreats and business meetings. We'd love to host your meetings at the Fluno Center. But the Fluno Center is also the home of the Center for Executive and Professional Development. We also co-design custom programs. So if your company needs some custom learning programs, we'd be happy to talk with you about that. And let me just tell you one quick story of a company that we partnered with, that we've been in partnership with over 5 years now. It's an international company where we deliver a 3-week Emerging Leaders program. This focuses on business strategy, innovation, and execution. This program has prepared hundreds of emerging and high-potential leaders for their transition into more senior-level leadership roles. And we know that across companies today, succession and developing our next group of leaders is really important. So we'd love to, again, partner with you on that. So, without further ado, I want to pivot to the introduction of our keynote speaker, and I'm thrilled to be able to introduce Tom Falk, Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer for Kimberly-Clark. Tom is a 34-year Kimberly-Clark veteran, and he's the architect of the company's global business plan, which positions Kimberly-Clark to lead the world in essentials for a better life. I just read today, and I didn't realize this, and Tom may talk about this, that Kimberly-Clark's brands touch 1 in 4 people globally every day. And you probably recognize some of the brands like Cottonelle, Huggies, Kleenex, Scott, brands that we have come to know and hopefully love every day. And so we use and respect Kimberly-Clark's brands. This global business plan will position Kimberly-Clark to lead the world in essentials for a better life. Tom was elected Chief Executive Officer in 2002 and Chairman of the Board in 2003. He's led Kimberly-Clark through these plans designed to increase the company's sales and profitability, and under his leadership, Kimberly-Clark has grown sales to more than $18 billion as of 2016. Kimberly-Clark has approximately 43,000 employees worldwide in operations in 35 countries. Mr. Falk, Tom, is a graduate of the University of Wisconsin, proud alumni, I know. He also received his Master's of Science in Management from the Stanford Graduate School of Business. He and his wife have 1 son, and I think you know that Kimberly-Clark was founded here in the great state of Wisconsin in 1872 in Neenah. And we welcome Tom. Please give him a very warm Wisconsin welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Everybody having a good morning here in Madison? Yeah, isn't it great to be back on campus? Yeah, how many of you, this is the first time you've been back in a while? Any first time? Oh, good, you guys get the chance to come back here regularly. I'm on the University of Wisconsin Foundation Board, which brings me back here a couple of times a year, and it's one of my favorite times, favorite business trips is to come back and see all the great things that have changed on campus. So, today I want to talk a little bit about me and my relationship with the university, and then Kimberly-Clark and its relationship with the university, and then the impact that the university has on the state, and then how each of us might get involved in a different way. And hopefully along the way, there'll be something that connects with you. But then at the end, I'll also be happy to take some questions if you've got questions about anything I discussed or anything else that you think I might have a view on. I'd be happy to talk about that. So, you talked about Kimberly-Clark. Let's just get to know each other a little bit better. And so, we make essentials for a better life. We make diapers, facial tissue, bathroom tissue, feminine care products, adult incontinence products. But how many of you have ever worn a diaper? Come on, some of you may have been toilet trained in the womb. I don't know, but probably. So we're there for mom at one of those critical moments when the baby comes home and to care for her. And that's really what we do and we get motivated by, and what our teams all over the world are trying to figure out: what job does mom need done next, and how can we meet that in a unique and innovative way? And to do that, we need a lot of talent. And for us, we'll talk a lot about people are our most valuable resource, because there are all kinds of great brands. There are great products and processes around, but there is no substitute for a team of committed people. And that is your only, I think, enduring and unique competitive advantage, is having a team of people together that come together and do amazing things and do the job that the company was set out to do. So let's talk about me, how I came to get involved with the university. And I'm going to start with a Badger quote. So success is not owned, it's leased, and the rent is due every day. And I think that's more true than ever whenever J.J. Watt said that, but it's probably true in sports, but it's true in business as well. If you spend too much time admiring your past accomplishments, you are going to get blown by somebody else who's coming hard and wants to sit where you're sitting. I grew up, I'm the oldest of 9 children. I would say I'm the most responsible. My siblings might disagree. I started caddying when I was 12 years old at Shaniqua Country Club in Heartland, Wisconsin, and was their first Evans Scholar, which is a caddy scholar. One of my fellow Evans Scholars is in the audience, Don Powell, so raise your hand, Don, and show them what another caddy looks like. And so you started out, when you're 12, that's about the only job you can get is caddying, and so I started doing that, and you think about all the stress that kids go through today to decide which college they're going to go to. Man, I had a scholarship to go to one place. It was a great school. It was an easy choice. I took one SAT test with no SAT prep, fill out the application, good to go, and man, did that ever work out great for me? I mean, I never looked back. And when you see all these kids agonizing over these choices, I'm like, guys, you can get an average education at a great school, you can get a great education at an average school, or you can come to Wisconsin and get a great education at a great school. I said, but this is a fantastic place, and it gave me a great education and the tools for success. And a lot of times as I'm giving speeches to our team, they'll say, well, gosh, when you were at Madison, did you always know that you were going to be a CEO? I said, hey, I'm the oldest of 9 children. My career goal was to have my own room. It was, I didn't have it all figured out at that point in time. But certainly I learned everything I needed at Wisconsin to go start my career in business and then take me forward into the future. There's a picture of my family up there as well. I did have one failing as a father. My son Michael, who's 27, went to Marquette and got his athletic training degree and worked for the Green Bay Packers for a couple of years as a trainer, which was fun. I've never seen his mother more excited when football was on Sunday, and she could never understand why, when he was running out on the field at the timeouts to bring water to the players, that they would cut away to commercial, because that was the part she was most interested in. I said, well, not everybody wants to see that, dear. It's not the big action. But other than one day a year when the Badgers play Marquette, we get along reasonably well. And he's also married to another Marquette alum, and so that's a picture of us fairly recently. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about the impact that University of Wisconsin has had at our company. And so Nelson Mandela, who's one of the great leaders of the 20th century, that I would say has definitely changed the world, at least in his part of the world. But his quote is that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And when I thought about that, sometimes we think about education as playing defense. As if you get education, it keeps you out of poverty, or it keeps you out of something bad happening, as opposed to thinking about education as playing offense, as a powerful weapon that you can use to drive something or move something or change something. And I think that's the right way to think about it, and that's absolutely what is happening here at the university. And so, Madison, the University of Wisconsin-Madison is in the education business, and it is producing 10,000 graduates every year that are changing the world. And so it's our single biggest recruiting relationship. We've got, let's see what's coming up here. About 6% of our salaried employees are from the University of Wisconsin in the U.S., which is by far our biggest population. And we've got people all over the country, as you would expect, covering 15 different job functions. So we've got everyone, engineers and business people. We've got marketers. We've got other science disciplines. About 40% of our Wisconsin talent is in our research and engineering community, which is not just engineering. As we study consumers, we also need behavioral scientists and other people with other different backgrounds. And so, they come to KC to achieve all of their career goals, and we've got badgers at all levels. In fact, in preparing for this speech, I found a couple of them. We've got a guy named Randy Jusuf, who's worked for us since 2010, and I did not know he was a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, going back to 1995, and he joined KC in the strategy team, so I didn't know he was an engineer either until I got ready to give the speech. And I've known Randy since he joined us in strategy, but the impact that he's had, he came in, joined us from a strategy background, and started working on strategy projects, went out to Asia and lived in Hong Kong for a while, and was working out there for a while, took over and started to be general manager of our operation in Taiwan. And now he's running our entire ASEAN business. So he's got not just Taiwan, but Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia. So, he's having a fantastic impact. And I'm pretty sure if you talk to Randy, that wasn't what he thought he would be doing at this point in time either. He got out of Wisconsin with an engineering degree, and then that led him into a number of other things. Another spotlight I'd talk about is a Badger alum named Sarah Freiberger. And Sarah graduated in 1993 with a degree in chemical engineering. She actually worked at one point at the UW in the Department of Physiology. And she's been a product developer across all of our consumer businesses. So she started out designing products for mom, diapers, fem care, adult care. She worked her way up, became a manager, a director, then a VP. At one point, she was running our whole international R&D organization. Today, she runs our global baby and child care R&D organization. And I spent some time with Sarah yesterday. That's another fun fact I learned about her. I knew she's a great product developer. I didn't realize she was one of our top patent holders. So she's got 25 patents that she's collected over the years. She's not only been a successful leader, she's also been a successful doer and has made a big and positive impact on our company. And so just a couple of stories to bring the numbers on the page to life of people that are working in our company that have big roles that started out doing one thing and over the years took those skills and leveraged them into a fantastic and impactful career at a great company. So Kimberly-Clark is one small example of that. But let's just talk a little bit more broadly about what impact the university has on the state. And the impact that Madison has on the state of Wisconsin is phenomenal. And so it's one that we probably don't talk about enough. I know the chancellor and her comms teams are talking about it, but it's great for us as alumni to know so that we can talk about it a little bit as well. But I would submit to you that the University of Wisconsin is critical to what's going on in the state. The impact of UW on the state is estimated at $15 billion in annual economic impact on the state's economy, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's a big number, however you count it. If you just look at the employment at the UW system, Madison Hospital and Clinics, the affiliated organizations and startups in the state, it's nearly 200,000 jobs in the state of Wisconsin. And to put that in perspective, there's been a lot of buzz lately about Foxconn coming to town, and they're going to create 13,000 jobs, which is great. But we've got nearly 200,000 jobs that are an impact from what we're doing here. And then the state and local tax revenue that are generated from all that economic activity is about $850 million. So again, it's great to see. And we talked about Foxconn, and there's a whole bunch of economic incentives that are happening with that. But I don't know if you noticed this, but the chancellor put out a message that talked about her involvement, and Foxconn reached out to her and wanted to know about the quality of our research university in the neighborhood, and that was also a factor in them deciding to relocate here. So again, having a source of well-trained talent, having a world-class research university that is creating new ideas and creating new knowledge and pushing the boundaries to get to the future, all those things went into that decision. It wasn't just dollars and cents, and there's no question business is going to go and invest where it feels welcome, and that welcome takes place across a number of dimensions. But the University of Wisconsin also played a role in attracting a company like that to consider Wisconsin as a place to build their future in the U.S. So again, I think that's a few numbers that will put what the university does for the state in perspective. And so then my final quote was from Ben Franklin, and he said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." And I think we would all agree with that. That's probably why all of you are here today, as you see the return from your involvement with the UW, whether that's in getting great students to want to come and work for your companies and help you grow and achieve your goals and ambitions. Because believe me, there's a war for talent out there. Finding the best people all over the world is our biggest growth limiter. We run out of people way before we run out of money or we run out of ideas. So having a steady stream of talent that can come in and have an impact on your business is critically important. And so I do think that that's one of the things that all of us can help stay focused on, and making sure that our university stays vibrant. And I know state budget challenges are tough, but to think about this as interested alumni, what can we do to help make sure that our elected officials and others know what the university does for us, and how do we make sure that they've got the tools that they need to be successful? And then that may be limited on state budget dollars, but what else can we do on operating model or other things to help make sure that this place continues to be at the top of research universities and able to continue to produce the talent, the ideas, the research that are going to be beneficial not just to the state of Wisconsin, but to all of us who have a big stake in the success of the state and of the people who live here. And so I would challenge all of us to say, how do we all make sure we're getting involved? And so I'm involved through the foundation and through other things, but what else can you do either at a state or local level to make sure you're asking the right questions or showing your support for the university? And I think if we keep that thought in mind, we'll be together creating a better future for this university. One of the cool facts about Wisconsin is we have 435,000 living alumni, and we're adding 10,000 more every year. That's a powerful force of people. That's an army that can do amazing things. And I just think it's so exciting. One of the best parts of my involvement with the foundation is to meet the young people that are here and to see their enthusiasm and to see what their dreams are. To talk to the faculty about where they're headed and what barriers they're knocking down and what new research they're creating. And just to think about all of us being a part of that is a very fulfilling thing. Madison is a very special place for all of us that went here. But sometimes when you go back to a place that you were involved with when you're young, you kind of wonder, well, why did I think this was exciting? You kind of gone beyond there. And the great thing about this place is every time I come back, it's even better than I remember it, and it probably is. I mean, there's a few things that are the same. The pub is still there, but everything else is. Don's laughing. Not that I was ever in the pub, by the way. I would just walk by it on State Street. I would never go in. But no, but it is great to come back and seeing how this generation of leaders at this university are taking such good care of it and moving it forward in the next generation. Let's just make sure that we're doing all we can to help move it forward. And so with that, I would stop now and be happy to take a few questions. Yes, there's one way in back. They have microphones, or you can talk loud.
Hi, thank you so much for that. I was just curious if you could touch about just some of the ways in which your company has partnered and utilized either recruiting or engagements with the faculty.
Yeah, good. A couple of things. So we partner with the university at a number of different levels. In fact, I was talking to the OIP people up here, which you haven't met them. Is that, like, use the right acronym? Office of Industrial Partnering, I think they're called, or something like that. And we've done a bunch of research with the university. So our R&D teams are partnering with the various schools and college professors and their teams on research areas that are of interest to us. And usually that's stuff that's a little farther out. It's not in the 3-year plan because that stuff we've typically got the capability in-house, but it's stuff that's farther out where we need a breakthrough or we need an invention. On the recruiting front, what we've tried to do is get the schools and colleges to work a little bit better together. So early on in my career, I was the campus champion for Madison, and so I tried to get a meeting to get all the deans in the same room in the schools that we recruited at and kind of lay out what are the kinds of things we're looking for, what are the leadership behaviors that are important to us, what are the collaboration skills that are important to us. And then initially it was like it was a little bit of hard work, but that got easier and easier. And now when you're seeing events like this happen more regularly, just getting the deans to understand collaboration is really important. So yes, I need great engineers. I need great marketers. I also need them to be able to work together to get stuff done. And so that's something that I think every university is working to build, is those teamwork and collaboration skills. Yes.
Can you talk about? Can you comment on your thoughts on the Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, and the impact on Kimberly-Clark, and if you're doing anything with the IoT consortium here?
Yeah, I mean, the Internet of Things we interact with on a number of different dimensions, and so we are doing a lot digitally in terms of how we market to consumers. So that so if you take that theme to be a broader digital economy. So how many of you, when you've opened a browser, have noticed that the pop-up ad pops up right next to the browser? Pretty much all the time, right? And are those pop-up ads getting closer and closer and closer to things that you have searched for? And so we run 40 digital programmatic trading desks that know who you are when you open the browser and what you're worth to us. And there is a real-time auction that takes place in the split second before the browser opens for the right to pop that ad into that spot. And so we have all kinds of IT people and marketers and scientists, and by the way, we know who you are across all your platforms. So it's not just if you were doing it on your iPad versus your iPhone versus your PC. Now, we don't have your social security number, but we know you're you. We know if you've got kids or if you don't have kids. We know the things that you like and don't like. And so we try to hit you with a relevant offer that helps lead you to the path to purchase. And so that's one aspect, is understanding how to use data and analytics is critically important. It's also present in our manufacturing processes, so and we've done some work with various universities. I don't know what we're doing with Wisconsin on that front, but we are working to link our manufacturing processes to make those be more seamless, to be more predictive on maintenance failures and things like that. And so everybody's trying to run their supply chain with less inventory, greater uptime, and so there's an aspect of it that's happening from that standpoint. And then if you looked, downstream from a consumer standpoint, we're doing a ton of work with companies like Amazon. So we're in Amazon's Dash Button program so that you can click to reorder. We've been experimenting with smart packaging ideas so that you can automatically reorder when the level of a package gets to some point. And so there's some other things that we're experimenting with to think about that to try to take some of the friction out of consumer transactions as well. Yes.
Hi. I had a question. You were commenting before about the need to recruit people who have collaboration skills, some things that are beyond the core results that one might get from a university education. We also saw earlier in one of the talks that in the CEO survey, global skills was something that people were really looking for. I think the university has really an outstanding international division and a lot of opportunities for language and cultural growth. I was wondering if you could comment on how you see that at Kimberly-Clark. How important is global readiness from a career perspective and a management perspective and what you're looking for, and do you see opportunities for increasing that with the university?
Yeah, no, that's a really important point. And I would say in the early days of trying to address that, we tended to try to move Americans all over the world, which is a very expensive way to do it. So if they can come to us pre-wired with having had some international experience, and they don't have to be everywhere. They don't even need necessarily to have language skills. It's more the cultural sensitivity, and it does get at the core of diversity and inclusion. And a lot of times those are popular terms, but inclusion is making everybody feel like when they show up for work today, my ideas are valued the same way as everybody else's. And so if I can get a whole room of people this size to show up for work and saying, we all think our ideas are valued at 80 or 90 or 100%. Now, if I've got half the room that says, man, I think going in, my ideas are only worth about half of everybody else's because my boss doesn't get me, and that happens at every company, that's a problem. And I think that's where oftentimes it is language or culture that get in the way of that. And so helping, we do that a lot. We spend a lot of time training on that and giving people exposure early in their career to both cross-functional projects so that they have to work with people that have a different functional background, as well as cross-geography or cross-business so that they get exposure to it. And I think the more that you can come pre-wired that way out of the box, that just makes our job easier. Got one over here.
Thank you. Yeah, as you know, a lot of people come to Madison because of our beautiful campus and our lakes, our natural resources, and value our state for those reasons too. Can you talk a little bit about where Kimberly-Clark is with renewable energy, renewable resources?
Yeah, and we've been doing sustainability broadly for a long, long time. So we make disposable products, and so we were doing sustainability before sustainability was cool. And in fact, one of my favorite stories is, we started life as a newsprint company 145 years ago. And sometime 100 and something years ago, someone had the idea if you cut one tree down, you should plant 2 more so that you never run out of trees. And so we've been doing sustainable forestry for a long, long, long time, and are proud of it. I think renewables is sort of the next frontier. I think in the U.S. now, about 1/3 of our energy is renewable based, and as probably many of you here would be aware, most of the new generation capability coming online is renewable. So we're continually looking for opportunities to do that, particularly internationally in places like Europe. We've got a number of our mills that have got active solar because the energy is so expensive in those markets. So solar actually has a pretty decent payback. And so we've got an environment and energy group that's kind of monitoring both our reduction of energy consumption overall. And so as you look at as a per unit of output, our energy consumption is down double digit in the last 10 years. And then knowing where do we go next, and then how do we increase our renewables. And we're finding some really attractive contract offers that give you both more stable pricing as well as some cost advantages to some of the renewable platforms that are out there. So it is one that we're interested in and doing a fair amount on. Yes, we got one up in front here.
You have a relatively long tenure as a CEO, so I'm curious.
Is that a nice way of saying that I'm old, or is that?
No, I'm saying it's impressive in this
Yeah.
day of age. So I'm curious if you could share some leadership lessons learned or words of wisdom.
Yeah, well, I've made a lot of mistakes. So if you've been in any job long enough, you learn things along the way. So I'd say the leadership lessons for me are insist on the best talent. So where I've made mistakes, it's been by thinking I could stretch somebody or they were going to get better, or if I in my gut knew they weren't going to make it, but I thought I was going to give them another chance. And there's a balance there. You don't just wake up one morning and decide they're not the right person. But as a leader, too often we go in and settle for the team that we have instead of insisting on the team that we need. And so, and you will find that if you have a great team, your job gets a lot easier. So insist on the best talent would be one. I think the other lesson that I've learned is that particularly in times of change, it is impossible to over-communicate. So, over my career, I've been doing this for a long, long time. I'll give a speech and everybody thinks it's great. They understand the clear direction and where we're going. I'll go back 90 days later, give the same speech to the same group, and they look at me with that same look of wonderment that like it's new information. And it's like, well, because they get back focused on their day-to-day stuff, and you need to keep hitting on the same themes. And I tell my communications team, if I give this speech one more time, I'm going to puke. And they were like, no, they're just starting to get it now. I said, okay, I'll keep going. So I think the other lesson learned along the way would be there is more change capacity generally in your organizations than you think. And so at the end of the day, you almost always look back and wish you had gone faster than felt like, gosh, I went too fast and everything crashed. So I would definitely say, it's particularly in a fast-moving, competitive environment that just about every company is in these days, err on the side of going a little faster, take some risk on your change capacity. If you've got good people, they will step up and get it done for you. So we go.
Thank you for coming today, by the way.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you in regards to if you could go back in time, back when you were a college student, is there something you would have liked to know or done to prepare you for where you are today?
No, I mean, actually, it's worked out okay for me. I don't have a lot of regrets. So, and I would say I had a pretty good time. I slept out on Camp Randall's asphalt to get season hockey tickets as a freshman, and I went to most of the home football games, and so I had a good time, but I got a great education, and so I feel like that was a pretty good balance for me. And so I don't have any regrets. I had a great time. My wife also went to the university. We were high school sweethearts. We've been married for 37 years. So I've been with KC for 34 years. And I think at this point in your career, you become prouder of the time you spent with your kids and the time you spent with your spouse. And you don't usually look back and say, gosh, I wish I would have taken one more course. You'd probably look back and think about maybe was there some other development experience or social experience that you could have had that would have been more enriching. But I feel like I had a good deal from the University of Wisconsin. They prepared me very, very well for my future. So thank you all for listening to me today and for being a part of the UW.